Hey everybody, I'm Adrian and this is Reviewed. So we're going to take a look at ZYLtech's wood PLA. This is a 12% wood particle PLA. It's a pretty light color filament. So the prints do come out fairly lightly colored, which makes sense for what I just said. It would come out lightly colored. So I tried doing a temperature tower with this one just to see, because the wood fill PLAs, not just wood colored, but if they actually have wood particles in them, will usually give you a darker color the higher temperature that you print. And I don't know how well you can see that in the video, but it started at 235 and went up to 195, and it did have a little bit of a color change to it. The finish is actually really nice on all of them. I had the flow dialed in pretty well. The temperature didn't really seem to make a difference as far as how smooth the print was. The stringing was a lot worse at 235. It definitely got better as it went up, and by 215 it was almost gone. By 210 it was pretty much non-existent, and all of it printed nice and strong. None of it, even at 195 at the lower temperature. These three were done at 220. I did have some heat issues with the little mother and child statue in these big overhangs here. So, and I'm not sure what happened. Maybe the flow was off a little bit, but the finish is a little bit more rough on this one. I don't think it was an issue with the model itself. It was probably just, I probably messed something up when I sliced it, to be honest. So, the finish on it is pretty nice. I like it. It has almost a little bit of a metallic finish at the higher temperatures. It's not really a glossy finish, but it does almost metallic-y, which is kind of odd for a wood filament. But at more regular temperatures, this one was done. I varied the print temperature on this one between, I believe it was about 215 and 235 to try to give it a little bit of a wood grain finish to it, and you probably can't see it very well, but it did give it a little bit of a change in color. So I'm going to try staining it and just see how it looks, see if maybe that'll help bring out some of the color with it. This isn't the right size bulb. I was just practicing hollowing them out because it is surprisingly easy to shatter these. So it's supposed to take a full-size bulb, but this was an extra one I had that I was practicing with, and just to kind of see what it looks like. So I have a little Groot planter. I know some people are kind of sick of Groot, but I still enjoy printing him sometimes. With this one I did a brown wash over him. He's not done yet. I wish, I wanted to try to have him done in time for the video, but I didn't. I still need to paint his eyes and maybe a little bit of dry brushing, and I'd like to put a little bit of moss on him, give him a little bit more of a worn, weathered look. But with the wash on it, it really transforms the print and the filament. You can see it's a lot darker, but it really gives it a lot of depth. Especially, this is a good model. It has a lot of recesses, and I mean, it's a good model for something like this, for a wood filament with a wash. It really brought out the details in the model. It looks really good. I think this is going to be a really cool one when I'm done with it. So I like this one. Might have to print a few more. We'll see. So then the one that I was most excited about was actually the tattoo gun business card holder, which I think came out awesome. This one really came out really amazing. This was a fairly long print, fairly long for me, I say, because I don't normally do huge multi-day prints. This one was about 22 hours. It was printed at 200 degrees at 0.16 layer height, and you can see it came out very nice. This actually was quite a bit of cleanup to get it to this point. There were a lot of small supports in this just to hold these little pieces that you can see had a really high angle, and there's no way I could have printed them without support. So it took a while to clean them all out, but I managed to not break anything, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to look really cool. I'm going to probably stain it and just see what I can kind of do with it. I'm going to give this to a buddy of mine in Florida that does all my tattoos, and maybe he'll give me a discount. We'll see. Yeah, that kind of brings me to really my main complaint with this filament. It's really easy to print with as far as temperature. It's not sensitive to temperature aside from the stringing. The finish looks really good on any of these temperatures. Really, my only complaint with it was that it would do these little random curls of filament, and there's no under extrusion anywhere. It did it with all of them too. There would just be these little random curls of filament that it would leave, and they would fall off, some of them. The hot end would sweep by and the nozzle would pick them up sometimes, and that's where it kind of became more than just a little nuisance. It would actually, sometimes it would go by and it would knock some of the supports over. It actually did it on this piece here and one of the other ones over here, I forget where, but luckily it was early enough the supports were able to recover and it printed fine. But it's kind of odd. It just left kind of a mess everywhere. I don't know how else to describe it than just being messy. I do want to try printing with some other wood PLAs, just maybe some different colors. I'd like something a little darker, you know. But overall, I'm happy with it. I think it's a good filament. My wife says I'm crazy, but it smells like boiled hot dogs when it's printing. I don't know, that's just what it smells like to me, which at first wasn't too bad, but after about a 22-hour print, I was absolutely sick of the smell, and I couldn't wait for this to finish so I could turn off the printer. So aside from the hot dogs and it being a little bit messy, I really didn't have any issues with this filament. I believe at the time I bought this was $15 to $18, somewhere in there. So for a wood PLA, I felt pretty reasonable. So I feel like it's a pretty affordable filament, pretty inexpensive. So yeah, pick some up and print something fun. And thanks for watching, and happy printing.